The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with quiet conversation as representatives from dozens of worlds took their seats around the massive circular chamber. Ambassador Sora walked slowly toward the small section reserved for Earth, her dark blue uniform standing out among the colorful robes and strange clothing worn by the alien delegates. She had been Earth's voice in this place for 5 years now, and still felt the weight of being ignored by most of the powerful species that ruled the galaxy. The Valaxian Empire controlled the largest section of the hall with their golden armor, gleaming under the bright lights. Their leader, Executor Vexitar, stood nearly 3 meters tall with 4 arms and skin that looked like polished metal. Next to them sat the Nexari Federation delegates, their pale blue skin seeming to glow as they whispered to each other in their musical language. These two powers had dominated galactic politics for over 1,000 years and treated newer species like annoying children. Sora settled into her chair and activated her translation device as the session began. The current topic was trade agreements between the Outer Rim colonies and the core worlds, but she knew her real purpose here today. 3 weeks ago, Captain Dayun had intercepted strange signals from the edge of known space, and Earth needed the Council to take these warnings seriously. High Chancellor Mordak of the Council called for new business, and Sora stood up. The massive alien looked down at her with what might have been amusement on his scaled face. "Permission granted, Ambassador Sora," he said in his deep, rumbling voice. "Thank you, Chancellor." She began looking around the hall at the hundreds of alien faces. Earth has detected unusual energy readings from Sector 794 at the Galactic Rim. Our analysis suggests these signals do not match any known technology or natural phenomena. We request permission to send a joint investigation fleet to examine this potential threat. Laughter echoed through the chamber from several delegations. Executor Vextar rose from his seat, his forearms spreading wide in a gesture of dismissal. The humans see danger in everything, he announced. Their primitive sensors probably detected a solar flare or cosmic radiation. The Valaxian Empire has monitored that sector for centuries and found nothing of concern. The Nexari delegate Counselor Zilana added her musical voice to the discussion. Perhaps the humans should focus on improving their technology before making wild claims about galactic threats. Their fastest ships still require weeks to travel distances our vessels cover in days. Sora felt heat rise in her cheeks but kept her voice calm. With respect, Counselor, our analysis was thorough. Captain Dayun of Earth Intelligence spent months studying these transmissions. The pattern suggests artificial origin and the power levels are beyond anything in our databases. Several more delegates spoke up dismissing Earth's concerns. The Tokmar Syndicate representative mentioned that humans had only joined the Council 50 years ago and lacked experience in galactic affairs. The Crystal Collective agreed, noting that Earth had never contributed significantly to Council defense forces or scientific advancement. Chancellor Mordak allowed the discussion to continue for another hour before calling for a vote. The motion to investigate the energy readings failed by a margin of 400 to 12. Only the smallest and newest council members voted with Earth. After the session ended, Sora walked through the council station's corridors feeling frustrated but not surprised. She had expected this outcome, but Earth's leaders needed official documentation of the council's refusal to act. Her personal communicator buzzed with an encrypted message from home. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility deep beneath the lunar surface, Director Wu Jin studied the same energy readings that Sora had presented to the council. The underground complex stretched for kilometers in every direction, filled with laboratories, factories, and command centers that the galaxy never suspected existed. Workers in plain gray uniforms moved between assembly lines building components for ships that would never appear in any official Earth fleet registry. Wu Jin had dedicated his life to Project Deep Harbor, the secret program that began 202 years ago when human archaeologists discovered their first warning. Ancient ruins on distant worlds told stories of something terrible that had once swept across the galaxy, consuming everything in its path. The aliens dismissed these findings as mythology, but humans took them seriously. General Minho joined Wu Jin at the observation deck overlooking the primary construction bay. Below them, the skeleton of a massive warship took shape as robotic assemblers worked around the clock. This vessel would be larger than anything in the official Earth fleet, yet it was only one of thousands being built in hidden facilities throughout the solar system and beyond. The council refused to listen. The general said, watching sparks fly from welding operations far below. As expected, Wu Jin replied. They see us as primitive newcomers who panic at shadows. They have no idea that Earth discovered the truth about the Devourers decades ago. In the communications center of Earth's primary orbital defense platform, Captain Da-Eun continued her analysis of the mysterious signals. Her team of specialists worked in shifts monitoring deep space transmissions from listening posts scattered across the galaxy's edge. Most of their equipment appeared standard, but hidden upgrades made these systems far more sensitive than anything the Council suspected. Earth possessed. The energy readings showed a pattern that made Da-Eun's skin crawl. Ancient texts described similar signatures appearing before the Devourers emerged from their long sleep. These machines had once consumed entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space where thriving worlds had existed. The galaxy had forgotten this threat, but humans remembered. Lieutenant Taeho approached Da-Eun's workstation with a new report. Captain, we are detecting similar signals from 3 additional sectors. Whatever is causing these readings is spreading. Da-Eun studied the data, feeling a chill run down her spine. The activation pattern matched perfectly with warnings found in ruins throughout the galaxy. Archive everything, she ordered, and send encrypted copies to all Deep Harbor facilities. If this is what we think it is, we may not have much time. Admiral Han Sol sat in his modest office aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship, reviewing reports from the official fleet. His 200 ships were old and outdated compared to Valaxian or Nexari vessels, but they served their purpose as a public face for Earth's military capabilities. The aliens expected humans to have weak defenses, and Han Sol was happy to encourage that belief. His real fleet remained hidden in asteroid bases and artificial worlds beyond Neptune's orbit. These vessels incorporated technology that would shock the galaxy's established powers. Human engineers had spent decades studying ancient artifacts and developing weapons systems specifically designed to fight the enemy that ancient civilizations had failed to stop. A secure message arrived from Director Wu Jin containing updates on construction progress. The hidden fleet now numbered over 8,000 combat vessels, with more coming online every month. Each ship carried weapons based on discoveries made in ruins that predated current galactic civilization by millions of years. Engineer Yu Na worked late into the night in her laboratory beneath Titan's surface. Her research focused on quantum resonance patterns found in ancient devourer technology recovered from dead worlds. These machines had a weakness that their builders never suspected, and Yu Na was developing ways to exploit it. The breakthrough had come 5 years ago when human scientists realized that devourer components operated on specific frequencies that could be disrupted. Weapons designed around this principle could potentially destroy the seemingly invincible machines that had once terrorized the galaxy. As reports continued arriving from monitoring stations throughout known space, the evidence became undeniable. Something ancient and terrible was awakening in the dark spaces between galaxies. The Galactic Council remained blind to the growing threat, but Earth was ready. 3 centuries of careful preparation were about to be tested as humanity's greatest challenge approached from the void. The galaxy's fate would soon rest in the hands of the species that everyone underestimated. The first attack came without warning on a quiet mining colony in the Kepler system. 3,000 Nexari workers were extracting rare crystals from the asteroid belt when their sensors detected massive ships emerging from what appeared to be empty space. These vessels were unlike anything in the galactic databases, constructed from dark metal that seemed to absorb light itself. News of the colony's destruction reached the Nexari homeworld 12 hours later. The rescue fleet that arrived found nothing but debris and radiation where the mining operation had thrived for 50 years. Every structure had been completely dismantled down to its basic atoms. Even stranger, the asteroids themselves showed signs of having been partially consumed. Counselor Zilana stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council 3 days later, her usual musical voice strained with shock. The attackers demonstrated technology far beyond our understanding, she reported. They did not simply destroy our colony, they harvested it, Our scientists believe the entire operation was converted into raw materials for unknown purposes. The Valaxian executor Vextar dismissed these concerns with a wave of his forearms. One colony is a small loss. Pirates or raiders from outside Council space are not uncommon. The Empire will increase patrols in that sector and the problem will be resolved. Within a week, 5 more colonies disappeared across 3 different sectors. The attacking ships struck with perfect coordination and overwhelming force. Survivors were rare, but those who escaped described vessels that seemed to repair themselves during combat and weapons that tore apart matter at the molecular level. Captain Dawan worked around the clock in Earth's hidden monitoring center as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The energy signatures matched her worst fears. These were the Devourers, the ancient machines that had once swept across the galaxy, consuming entire civilizations. Ancient texts described exactly this pattern of attacks. The Devourers had been sleeping in the void between galaxies for millions of years, waiting for the right conditions to return. Now they were awake and hungry. Each colony they consumed provided materials to build more of their kind in an exponential growth pattern that would eventually overwhelm all resistance. General Minho studied tactical reports from his command center deep beneath Europa's ice. The Devourer ships used technology that bent the basic laws of physics. Their weapons could reach through most energy shields, and their hulls regenerated damage faster than conventional weapons could inflict it. Standard galactic military doctrine would be useless against this enemy. Engineer Yuna felt a mixture of fear and vindication as she watched news broadcasts from her Titan laboratory. For 20 years, she had been developing weapons specifically designed to fight these machines based on ancient technological fragments. Her quantum resonance disruptors were humanity's best hope against an enemy that had already proven unstoppable. The Valaxian Empire's response was swift and overwhelming. Executor Vextar assembled the largest battle fleet in their history, over 3,000 warships bristling with the most advanced weapons the galaxy had ever seen. Their plan was simple: locate the Devourer staging area and destroy it with our massive firepower before the threat could spread further. The Battle of Vega Prime became known as the First Catastrophe. Valaxian forces engaged 47 Devourer ships in what should have been an easy victory. The Valaxians had superior numbers, better positioning, and weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds over the past millennium. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, over 2,000 Valaxian ships had been destroyed or disabled. The Devourers lost only 3 vessels, and those appeared to have been deliberately sacrificed to gather data on galactic military capabilities. Executor Vextar's flagship barely escaped with its crew, the proud warrior's forearms trembling as he sent desperate messages to the Council. Panic spread across known space as news of the defeat reached every world. The Valaxian Empire had been the galaxy's premier military power for over 1,000 years. If their fleet could be destroyed so easily, what hope did other species have against this ancient threat? The Nexari Federation tried a different approach. Their scientists believed that superior technology could overcome brute force. They deployed their most advanced vessels equipped with experimental weapons and shielding systems that had never been tested in real combat. The Battle of Azure Station proved that scientific advancement alone was not enough. Pilot Tae-sung watched the Nexari defeat from his hidden observation post in the Kuiper Belt. His modified fighter carried sensor equipment that recorded every detail of the engagement for analysis by Earth's military planners. The Devourer ships adapted their tactics in real time, learning from each exchange of fire and adjusting their responses accordingly. The ancient machines were not merely following programmed instructions. They possessed a form of intelligence that could analyze enemy capabilities and develop countermeasures faster than biological minds could react. This made them nearly impossible to defeat using conventional military thinking. Dr. Dong Hyun studied captured Devourer fragments in his secret laboratory on Ceres. The material defied analysis using standard techniques, but ancient texts provided clues about its composition. These machines were not built by organic beings, but rather created by a civilization that had uploaded their consciousness into digital form millions of years ago. The Devourers represented the final evolution of a species that had chosen immortality through technology. They had converted themselves into pure information and constructed mechanical bodies that could survive indefinitely in the vacuum of space. Their hunger was not for biological needs but for resources to expand their collective consciousness. As reports of more attacks reached Earth's hidden command centers, Director Wu Jin made the decision that would change galactic history. The HFY time for secrecy had ended. Humanity's true capabilities would have to be revealed if there was any hope of stopping the Devourer expansion. Commander He Wan received orders to begin reconnaissance missions in Devourer-occupied territory. Her special forces teams used stealth technology that the galaxy's established powers had never imagined humans possessed. These soldiers could move through space undetected and gather intelligence about enemy operations. What they discovered was terrifying. The Devourers were not simply destroying civilizations for resources. They were studying galactic species, analyzing their technologies and biological characteristics. Each consumed colony provided data that helped the machines develop more effective methods of conquest. The ancient enemy was preparing for a systematic harvest of the entire galaxy. They had learned from their previous awakening millions of years ago when scattered resistance had eventually forced them back into hibernation. This time they would leave no survivors and no possibility of future opposition. Admiral Han Sol knew that Earth's official fleet of 200 outdated ships would never be enough to face this threat. The hidden fleet would have to reveal itself soon or risk losing the element of surprise. Thousands of advanced warships waited in asteroid bases and artificial worlds throughout the solar system, their crews trained for this exact scenario as the Devourers continued their expansion, consuming colony after colony and growing stronger with each victory. The galaxy's established powers began to realize the full scope of the threat. The Valaxian Empire and Nexari Federation started desperate negotiations to combine their remaining forces, but their losses had been too severe. Captain Dayun intercepted communications between fleeing refugee ships and military commanders trying to organize resistance. The established order was collapsing as fear overwhelmed rational planning. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia were discovering what it meant to face extinction. In her monitoring center, Daun watched as the energy signatures she had detected months earlier continued spreading across the galaxy. The ancient enemy was fully awake now, and humanity's long preparation was about to face its ultimate test. The galaxy's survival would depend on whether Earth's hidden fleet could succeed where everyone else had failed. Admiral Han Sol stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his official fleet conduct what appeared to be a desperate evacuation of human colonies. The 200 outdated Earth Defense Force ships moved slowly through space, their energy signatures clearly visible to any observer. To the galaxy's surviving powers, this looked like another species preparing to abandon their territory and flee to safer regions. The truth was far different. Every visible human ship carried advanced sensor equipment disguised as standard navigation systems. Each evacuation run gathered detailed intelligence about Devourer ship movements, attack patterns, and technological capabilities. The apparent retreat was actually the most comprehensive reconnaissance operation in galactic history. Director Wu Jin monitored the deception from his command center beneath Luna. Holographic displays showed the positions of every human vessel, both visible and hidden, throughout known space. The galaxy still had no idea that Earth possessed the largest military force ever assembled by any single species. Operation Rising Sun had been planned for over 50 years. Human strategists had studied every possible scenario for revealing the hidden fleet and chosen their moment carefully. The Devourers were expanding rapidly but had not yet reached full strength. The established galactic powers were weakened but not completely destroyed. This was the perfect time to strike. General Minho received the authorization signal at 800 Galactic Standard Time. Across dozens of star systems, thousands of human vessels began powering up their engines and weapon systems. Asteroid bases that had appeared empty for decades suddenly came alive with activity as massive doors opened to reveal hidden construction bays. The first ships to decloak were the destroyers positioned near major trade routes. These sleek vessels appeared without warning around Nexari and Valaxian convoy routes, their advanced hulls gleaming with technology that looked decades ahead of anything the galaxy had seen from Earth. Alien crews stared in shock at displays that showed human ships materializing from what had appeared to be empty space. Captain Jiwoo commanded the dreadnought New Seoul as it emerged from its hiding place in the Oort cloud. The massive warship dwarfed anything in Earth's official fleet, its hull stretching over 2 kilometers and bristling with weapons that incorporated technology from ancient ruins. This flagship would lead humanity's first open assault against the Devourer forces. Engineer Yuna watched from her laboratory as production facilities throughout the solar system revealed themselves. Automated factories that had been building ships and weapons in secret for 2 centuries suddenly broadcast their positions and capabilities. The galaxy was about to discover that Earth's industrial capacity rivaled that of the Valaxian Empire itself. The revelation sent shockwaves through what remained of galactic civilization. Refugee fleets fleeing Devourer attacks received escort offers from human vessels that appeared more advanced than anything the Nexari Federation had ever built. Military commanders who had dismissed Earth as a minor power found themselves staring at tactical displays showing thousands of unknown human ships. Executor Vextar stood in the ruins of his command center on Valax Prime, trying to process reports from his surviving captains. Human vessels were offering assistance to Valaxian survivors, and their technology appeared capable of actually fighting the Devourers effectively. The species he had mocked at the Galactic Council possessed a military force that made his empire's remaining strength look insignificant. The first test came at the Rigel system, where a Devourer scouting force was preparing to consume an industrial complex. 3 human destroyers intercepted the ancient machines before they could begin their harvesting operation. The battle lasted only 20 minutes but changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about the war. Pilot Tai Sung led his fighter squadron. In the opening engagement, his advanced craft moving with speed and agility that stunned observers. The human fighters used tactics that no other species had attempted, coordinating their attacks through quantum communication networks that operated faster than traditional systems. The Devourer ships tried to adapt their countermeasures but discovered that human weapons worked on completely different principles. Yuna's quantum resonance disruptors targeted the specific frequencies that held Devourer technology together. For the first time since their awakening, the ancient machines found themselves taking significant damage. News of the human victory spread through refugee channels faster than official communications. Species that had given up hope began to believe that resistance might be possible. The mysterious weapons that Earth had deployed seemed capable of actually destroying Devourer ships instead of just slowing them down. Commander Haewon's Special Forces teams began revealing themselves throughout Devourer-occupied territory. These soldiers had been conducting reconnaissance missions for months, gathering intelligence while remaining invisible to both the ancient machines and fleeing galactic forces. Their stealth technology was generations ahead of anything other species possessed. The intelligence they had gathered proved invaluable as human fleet commanders planned larger operations. The Devourers were not randomly attacking targets, but following a specific expansion pattern designed to maximize resource acquisition while minimizing resistance. Human strategists could predict their next moves and position forces accordingly. Dr. Dong Hyun's research finally bore fruit, as production facilities began manufacturing weapons specifically designed to exploit Devourer weaknesses. The ancient machines were vulnerable to quantum disruption in ways their creators had never anticipated. Human scientists had spent decades developing technology that could turn this vulnerability into a decisive advantage. The Battle of Centauri Station marked humanity's emergence as the galaxy's primary military power. A full Devourer battle group encountered a human fleet led by Captain Jiwoo and discovered that their usual tactics no longer worked. The New Seoul and its escort vessels destroyed 12 ancient ships while suffering only minor damage. Counselor Zilana watched the battle recordings in her emergency command center, her musical voice reduced to awed whispers. Human technology was not just advanced but specifically designed to fight an enemy that the galaxy had never properly understood. Earth had been preparing for this war while everyone else ignored the warnings. The psychological impact of human victories spread. Throughout known space, species that had been fleeing in panic began requesting assistance from Earth's forces. Military commanders who had dismissed humanity as primitive newcomers found themselves seeking guidance from human strategists who seemed to understand the devourer threat better than anyone. Admiral Kyung-mi emerged from the shadows to take command of deep space operations. Her reconnaissance fleets had been mapping devourer positions for months while remaining completely undetected. The ancient machines had no idea that their every movement was being tracked and analyzed by human intelligence networks. The revelation of Earth's true capabilities created chaos in the remaining galactic government structures. How had a species that joined the Council only 50 years ago developed such advanced technology in secret? The answer lay in humanity's patient study of ancient ruins that other species had dismissed as archaeological curiosities. Ambassador Sora found herself in the unprecedented position of being courted by the same alien delegates who had mocked Earth's warnings months earlier. The Galactic Council's emergency sessions now focused entirely on coordinating with human military commanders and learning from Earth's apparent understanding of the devourer threat. As human fleets continued emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy, the scope of Earth's deception became clear. This was not a hastily assembled response to the crisis, but the result of centuries of careful planning and preparation. Humanity had been quietly becoming the galaxy's most powerful military force while everyone underestimated them. The tide of war was beginning to turn, as ancient machines that had seemed invincible found themselves facing opponents who understood their weaknesses. The galaxy that had dismissed Earth as insignificant was about to discover that humanity might be their only hope for survival against the returning darkness from the void. General Min Ho established his first joint command center on the neutral station at Kepler Junction, bringing together military leaders from species that had been enemies for centuries. Valaxian commanders sat alongside Nexari strategists while human officers coordinated the combined response to the devourer threat. The ancient enemy had accomplished what diplomacy never could by forcing the galaxy to unite or face extinction. The command center buzzed with activity as species shared intelligence and tactical data for the first time in galactic history. Admiral Kyung-mi presented reconnaissance reports that detailed devourer positions throughout the Outer Rim, while Executor Vextar contributed what remained of Valaxian military assets. The cooperation was awkward at first, but desperation made quick allies. Colonel Sung-min led the first joint ground operation to retake the mining world of Kappa Ceti. Devourer harvesting machines had been stripping the planet's surface for 3 weeks, converting entire cities into raw materials for their expansion. The combined assault force included human marines, Valaxian shock troops, and Nexari technical specialists working together under unified command. The planetary liberation began with orbital bombardment using human quantum resonance weapons. These specialized systems could disrupt devourer technology without damaging organic structures, allowing ground forces to advance through areas where the ancient machines had been temporarily disabled. It was the first time anyone had successfully reversed a devourer occupation. Dr. Insu worked frantically in his mobile laboratory analyzing captured devourer components while the battle raged around him. Each sample provided new insights into the ancient technology and revealed additional vulnerabilities that human weapons could exploit. The xenobiologist had devoted his career to understanding alien life forms, but these machines challenged every assumption about intelligence and consciousness. The breakthrough came when Insu realized that the devourers were not truly artificial intelligence, but rather uploaded organic minds that had been digitized millions of years ago. The original species had achieved immortality by transferring their consciousness into quantum computer networks housed within mechanical bodies. This discovery explained why they showed such sophisticated tactical thinking. Commander Haewon's special forces conducted deep penetration raids behind devourer lines, rescuing alien civilians who had been captured for study rather than immediate consumption. These operations revealed that the ancient machines were systematically analyzing every species in the galaxy, learning about their biology, technology, and psychology in preparation for more efficient harvesting methods. The rescued civilians brought disturbing reports about devourer research facilities hidden in the dark spaces between star systems. These installations were conducting experiments on living subjects to understand how different species could be converted into useful resources. The ancient enemy was not content with simple destruction, but sought to optimize their consumption of galactic civilization. Admiral Kyung-mi's reconnaissance fleets discovered the primary Devourer staging area in a region of intergalactic space that appeared empty on all standard sensors. The massive construct was larger than most moons and served as both a manufacturing center and command node for the entire invasion. Destroying this facility could cripple the ancient enemy's ability to coordinate their expansion. The construct was defended by thousands of Devourer ships arranged in overlapping formation patterns that made direct assault nearly impossible. Human strategists studied the defensive arrangement for weeks while developing attack plans that could penetrate the ancient fortifications. The operation would require every available ship and perfect coordination between allied forces. Captain Jiwoo prepared the new Sol for its role in the upcoming assault, while his crew conducted final system checks on their experimental weapons. The Dreadnought would lead the main attack force directly into the heart of Devourer defenses, while smaller units created diversions and eliminated key targets. The battle would determine whether the galaxy had any hope of stopping the ancient. Threat engineer Yuna supervised the installation of her latest quantum disruptor arrays on ships throughout the Allied fleet. These weapons had been refined based on combat experience and could now disable multiple Devourer vessels simultaneously. The technology represented decades of research into ancient artifacts combined with human innovation in quantum mechanics. Scientist Dong Hyun made his most important discovery while analyzing the quantum signatures of Devourer command networks. The ancient machines shared a collective consciousness that allowed them to coordinate across vast distances. But this same network created a potential weakness. Disrupting the right frequency could temporarily sever their ability to communicate with each other. The psychological warfare began weeks before the main assault, as human information specialists broadcast messages throughout Devourer-occupied space. These transmissions were designed to overload the ancient network with contradictory data and create confusion among the machine intelligence. It was an experimental tactic based on theoretical models of how uploaded consciousness might be vulnerable to certain types of input. Wing Commander Bo Young led fighter squadrons in hit-and-run attacks against Devourer supply lines, testing their defensive responses and gathering data about their tactical adaptations. The ancient machines were learning from each engagement, but human pilots proved capable of innovative tactics that kept their enemies guessing. The Allied fleet assembled in the Veil Nebula, where cosmic radiation provided natural concealment from Devourer sensors. Over 8,000 ships from dozens of species prepared for what everyone knew would be the decisive battle of the war. Human vessels formed the core of the attack force, but every surviving species contributed whatever resources they could spare. Fleet Admiral Jae Hyun took overall command of the United Galactic Armada from his flagship, coordinating battle plans with military leaders who had spent their careers fighting each other. The elderly Korean officer had emerged from retirement when Earth's hidden fleet was revealed, bringing decades of strategic experience to the war effort. The first phase of the assault targeted outlying Devourer positions to draw defenders away from the main construct. Human ships led these attacks while Allied forces provided support and backup. The ancient machines responded as predicted, repositioning their fleets to counter what appeared to be the primary threat. Meanwhile, Haewon's special forces infiltrated the construct itself using stealth technology that could bypass Devourer detection systems. These soldiers carried quantum charges designed to disable critical systems from within, while the main assault engaged external defenses. The mission was nearly suicidal, but offered the best chance of achieving their objectives. As the battle began in earnest, reports reached Earth about Devourer counterattacks against human colonies throughout the solar system. The ancient enemy had discovered Earth's true location and was attempting to strike at the heart of human resistance. Defense stations that had remained hidden for centuries suddenly found themselves under direct assault. Director Woo Jin coordinated the home defense from his Luna command center, while monitoring the progress of the main assault. Earth's survival depended on the success of both operations. If either the attack on the Devourer construct or the defense of the solar system failed, humanity's long preparation would prove insufficient. The tide of battle shifted repeatedly, as both sides adapted their tactics in real time. Devourer ships proved capable of rapid self-repair, while human vessels relied on superior firepower and coordination. Ancient machines that had consumed entire civilizations found themselves facing opponents who understood their weaknesses and refused to give ground. Chief Engineer Seok Jin worked desperately to complete the quantum resonance bomb that could destroy the entire Devourer construct if delivered to its core systems. The weapon required exotic materials and precise calibration, but offered the only guaranteed method of eliminating the ancient threat permanently. The device would have to be planted manually by someone willing to sacrifice themselves for the galaxy's survival. Fleet Admiral Jae Hyun watched the massive tactical display as thousands of ships from dozens of species prepared for the final assault on the Devourer construct. The ancient enemy had positioned their strongest forces around the installation that served as their command center and manufacturing hub. Destroying this facility would cripple their ability to coordinate future attacks, but the cost in lives would be enormous. The United Galactic Armada represented the largest military force ever assembled in known history. Human vessels formed the spearhead with their quantum resonance weapons, while Valaxian and Nexari ships provided heavy firepower and support. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia now fought side by side against the threat that could destroy them all. Captain Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the New Sol as his dreadnought led the main attack formation toward the Devourer defenses. The massive construct loomed ahead like a dark moon covered in mechanical structures that pulsed with malevolent energy. Ancient weapons systems tracked their approach, while defensive fleets moved to intercept the advancing alliance forces. Wing Commander Bo Young piloted her fighter through the opening barrage as both sides unleashed everything they had. Space filled with energy beams, missile streams, and exotic particles as the two greatest military forces in galactic history clashed in decisive battle. The ancient machines had superior individual technology, but faced opponents who finally understood how to fight them effectively. The first breakthrough came when human quantum disruptors began taking effect on Devourer ship formations. Engineer Yuna's weapons created cascading failures in the ancient vessels, forcing them to break their coordinated attack patterns and fight as individual units. This gave the Allied fleet the opportunity to concentrate firepower and achieve local superiority in key sectors. Commander Haewon led her Special Forces team through the outer defenses of the construct itself, while the space battle raged around them. Her soldiers used personal stealth fields and advanced infiltration equipment to penetrate the ancient facility undetected. Their mission was to plant Chief Engineer Seok Jin's quantum resonance bomb at the construct's core processing center. The interior of the Devourer facility revealed the true horror of what the galaxy faced. Vast chambers contained the harvested remains of dozens of civilizations, their matter and energy being processed into components for new machine bodies. The ancient enemy had been conducting this cycle of consumption and expansion for millions of years across multiple galaxies. Dr. Insu's analysis proved correct as the team encountered the uploaded consciousness nodes that controlled Devourer operations. These quantum computers housed the digitized minds of the original species that had created the machines eons ago. Their immortal intelligence had become obsessed with consuming all other forms of life to fuel their endless expansion. The space battle reached its climax as the New Sol broke through the outer defensive perimeter and began its assault on the construct's primary weapon systems. Captain Jiwoo coordinated with Allied ship commanders to focus their attack on critical structural points, while Devourer forces concentrated their efforts on stopping the human flagship. Admiral Hansol made the decision that would define his legacy when he realized that the quantum bomb could not be delivered remotely. The ancient construct's defenses were too sophisticated, and the device required manual activation from within the core systems. Someone would have to stay behind to ensure the weapon detonated properly. The veteran admiral transferred his flag to a small courier ship and personally led the final infiltration mission. His lifetime of service to Earth and the galaxy would end with one last sacrifice to ensure that the Devourer threat could never return. The man who had commanded Earth's secret fleet would give his life to activate the weapon that could save all known civilization. Wing Commander Bo Young's fighter squadrons provided cover as Han Solo's ship approached the construct's heavily defended docking bays. Ancient point defense systems filled space with deadly fire, while human pilots sacrificed themselves to keep the courier vessel on course. The cost was terrible, but the mission continued. Haywon's team fought their way through the construct's interior defenses as mechanical guardians attempted to stop their advance. The ancient machines had finally realized the true purpose of the human infiltration and were desperately trying to prevent the bomb from reaching its target. Corridors filled with combat as soldiers used their advanced weapons against enemies that had once conquered the galaxy. The breakthrough came when scientist Dong Hyun's quantum disruption signal successfully interfered with the Devourer command network. For several crucial minutes, the ancient machines lost coordination as their collective consciousness was temporarily severed. This created the opening that Admiral Han Solo needed to reach the core systems. Chief Engineer Seok Jin's bomb was more than just a weapon. It was the culmination of 2 centuries of human preparation and understanding of ancient technology. The device used quantum resonance principles to create a cascade failure that would propagate throughout the entire Devourer network, destroying not just the construct, but potentially disabling machines throughout the galaxy. As Han Solo activated the final sequence, he sent one last message to his fleet commanders. The human species had fulfilled its promise to protect the galaxy from threats that others could not see or understand. Earth's hidden strength had proven decisive in the hour of greatest need. The explosion that followed dwarfed anything in recorded galactic history. The quantum resonance cascade tore through the massive construct and spread outward at faster than light speeds, carrying disruption signals that affected every Devourer system within range. Ancient machines that had seemed invincible suddenly found their technology failing simultaneously across dozens of star systems. Captain Ji-woo watched from the New Seoul as the construct collapsed in on itself, taking with it the collective intelligence that had coordinated the Devourer expansion. The uploaded consciousness of an entire species vanished in moments as their digital immortality proved vulnerable to weapons they had never imagined possible. The aftermath of the battle left the galaxy forever changed. Human technology and tactical thinking had proven decisive against an enemy that had once consumed entire civilizations. The species that everyone had underestimated now stood revealed as the galaxy's most capable defenders against threats from beyond known space. Fleet Admiral Jae-hyun established the new Galactic Defense Command on Earth itself, as the surviving alien powers acknowledged humanity's leadership role. The planet that had been dismissed as a backwater world became the center of a new order, dedicated to preventing future existential threats to galactic civilization. Ambassador Sora addressed the reformed Galactic Council from chambers in Geneva. Her words carried to every surviving world throughout known space. The human species accepted the responsibility of standing guard against the darkness that lurked in the void between galaxies. Earth's hidden fleets would continue to patrol the cosmic frontier, ensuring that no ancient horror could threaten the galaxy again. The secret that had driven human preparation for 2 centuries was finally revealed to the universe. Ancient texts found on dead worlds had warned of cyclic invasions by machine intelligences that harvested biological civilizations every few million years. The Devourers had been only one such threat, and others might exist in the vast darkness beyond the galactic rim. Director Woo Jin emerged from his hidden facilities to oversee the integration of human and alien technologies in preparation for future challenges. The Project Deep Harbor installations would become the foundation for a new type of galactic defense network, one designed to detect and counter threats that conventional civilizations could not imagine. New exploration fleets began departing Earth within months of the victory, carrying advanced sensors and quantum resonance weapons to the furthest reaches of known space. These vessels would map the cosmic frontier and watch for signs of other ancient intelligences that might still slumber in the void. The galaxy had learned that survival required more than individual strength or technological advancement. It demanded the kind of long-term thinking and careful preparation that had allowed humanity to stand ready when extinction threatened. The species that joined the Galactic Council as primitive newcomers had become the guardians of all life in known space, ensuring that the light of civilization would never again face the returning darkness unprepared.